All right, welcome family. Welcome back to another edition of The Waking Giant. The Waking Giant. I am Brother Jay out of the Ministry of Information for the Phoenix Local Organizing Committee for Justice or Else. Today with me, I have Brother Ali from the same organization. All right.
That's right.
Let Brother Ali introduce himself. Today, we're going to be talking about some real heavy things, man, and things that we as a community we really need to start putting into our mental Rolodex, but on a daily basis. Okay, this is something we have to keep front of mind, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And not everybody is going to connect with that because it requires a certain level of vision and an aptitude for growth on a consistent basis. And there's an actual Bible scripture that says, to the point of without vision, the people fail. The city fails. So if a leader doesn't have vision, if the people don't have vision, then how far can your culture go? All right. So that's what we're gonna get into that and much more. So, Brother Ali, welcome to the Waking Giant. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It's good to have you this beautiful morning. How's
Yes,
everything
sir.
you and your family?
Oh man, everything is blessed, brother. It's
Awesome.
our time.
That's right. It's our time. It's our time. So go ahead, introduce yourself once again. Let the family know who you are, what you do.
Peace and power, everybody. My name is Brother Ali, uh, and I lead and serve in a capacity in the Phoenix Local Organizing Committee around economic empowerment, business and strategy, trade and commerce. And I'm also part of and do work in a couple of organizations like Archery Exchange, wherever I can serve. You know what I'm saying? But let's get into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just real quick, the Ministry of Trade and Commerce is kind of what you do, and then we'll get into it.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, so around business and economics, we recognize that a lot of our condition is due to a lack of economic power due to no fault of our own. Right? Slavery was the early stage of capitalism, and it still continues to this day. And so, in order for us to come out from under this condition, it's going to take a lot of things, and one of those things is resources, right? So, we're engaged in a number of initiatives to develop business ideas, to build business, to invest, buy land, start banks, all those things that we need in order to be independent, but also to generate resources so that we can provide jobs to our own people, right? We shouldn't be going to anybody else for a job. To provide resources back to the organizations that work, and to insulate ourselves from this racist oppression that we've been under for the last 400 some odd years, right? Like we need our own military, we need our own schools, we need our own everything, but a lot of those things take money. So that's a real reason why we exist, building a strong economic foundation both for the organization, so the organization can be independent. So we have a few different brands that exist under or businesses that exist under Phoenix LOC, Waking Giant being one of them. So you can subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to we're revamped on our website. When the website comes back and a newsletter comes back, you can definitely subscribe to those things.
YouTube
contribute if you're a writer, all those things. And then Grassroots Bookstore is a part of the LOC, LOC is part of Grassroots Bookstore, so you can support there. You can donate to our efforts, all those things. So that's why we exist. And then we do that same work that we do in the organization, in the community, through our cash mob efforts, through different business support, business workshops, things like that, just trying to support the businesses that are in our community, but also, inspire people, because we have a lot of people who have the skill and the talent and the gifts and all those things, but may not have the capital, may not have considered going into business for themselves. So we're trying to, encourage our people to go into business for ourselves, because we need more businesses, more and more businesses within our community. So that's a quick snippet on Ministry of Trade and Commerce and a lot of work we do.
Hey, that was a whole lot, man. You said a whole lot, brother. In 2 minutes, you said a whole lot. You basically just ran through about 160 years that we have to catch up. You just ran.
Yeah, right. But we can do it. You know what I'm saying? We are doing
Yeah, you know, we're about 160 years behind on that.
yeah,
You know what?
man. But we you know what I'm saying? We know where we are now. That's why, that's why we say big brother and big sister has returned.
That's right.
Right? Because we know who we are, we know where we are now. So it ain't nothing but a thing to get organized and make this thing happen.
Hey, you know what? We cut our literacy rate in half in 30 years, so we can definitely, you know what I'm saying, get to the mountaintop in a generation. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And still get
Absolutely. We gotta understand what the goal is, right? The goal is not to sit at a table with an oppressor,
exactly.
right? A goal is not to be accepted by people who are outright enemies for the last 500 years. Like those aren't the goals. Our goal is independence. Our goal is self-determination. So once we agree on that goal, snap your fingers. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much. So that's pretty much a segue into what we want to get into, man. That's why
Yeah.
I wanted you to kind of expound on, the Ministry of Trade and Commerce, just so
Yep.
to see that and understand. And like I said, you said a lot and just that. But I wanted
Yeah.
to take it back now and to our conversation we had offline a few nights
Yeah.
ago, where we were elevating the conversation, where we were taking it from
Yeah.
the foundation we have to build to the vision that is going to take to actually bring it into fruition, right?
Mhm.
And to really sit down and think about what's really, really needed for our nation to be actually built, be
Right.
constructed. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And we
Right.
understood and we came to the consensus that we can't do it alone.
Right.
It's definitely going to take the diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
diasporan effort. Um, and not everybody is really going to really participate,
Oh yeah.
on that level.
Right.
So going, since you are leading a ministry, you have to have a vision for that ministry, right? You have to have a vision for what you're doing. So I don't want to get into particulars as far as your vision for the Ministry of the Trade and Information,
Sure.
but go into a little bit on the importance of having that vision, where now we have to really sit down, brother, you know what I'm saying, and form
Yeah.
these think tanks and
Yeah.
get these ideas. So expound a little bit on that for me, if you would.
Yeah. Definitely. Look, and I gotta tell my background because you look like a god. And even though I got my guys behind me, I'm like I gotta have a guy background too.
There you go. There
There
you
we go. All right,
there
all
you
right. Because this is the kind of work we engage in. We gotta look at the
got you.
entire globe.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? And pick out the pieces, right? And put
All
things
under the
together.
spectrum of
Yeah, absolutely.
red, black, and the green, baby. You know what I'm
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I don't got that, but I like that. So the importance of having vision. I mean, we got to know where we're going, right?
saying?
Like that's really what it boils down to. Like you said, without a vision, to be prepared, and we had to have a vision and a plan. But just to know where we're going and to understand what our goal is, right? Like we're in a time where um, we really can determine our future, right? And our destiny is right in front of us, but we still have work to do. We still have to, as they say, it's within your grasp, not in your lap, right? Like we have to still reach for it and do our part. But for so many years and centuries, our people weren't able to do what we have the ability to do right now, right? And so seeing that we have this ability, it's important again to understand what our goal is and what our vision is. And it's not, I think it would be naive to say it's a seat at the table, or it may be not naive, but it's limiting to say we want a seat at the table, or we want to be accepted, or we want to, a lot of the things that get pushed out into the mainstream, these ideas. Um, that's a very limited, short-sighted view. When you look at just the entire planet and the way that the planet is moving, the way that the people are moving. We need to have, and when you talk about vision, we need and deserve to have what everyone else has, right? Not from an acceptance standpoint, right? But when you look at a China, when you look at a Russia, when you look at these nations, right? These superpowers, we need and deserve the same thing, right? And so looking at it from where we are now, it's a beautiful time and opportunity because we can see it. Most of us, we can see the connection. We can see the opportunity that exists. The what I call the puzzle pieces.
Right.
Right. We can see them on the board, but it takes having this kind of view, like not to be too cliche about it, but this global view that we have right now.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And put the pieces together. Right. So starting from where we are here in America, um, what kind of business ideas, what kind of solutions can we bring to the table to start to build, even from not even just from a local standpoint, we always use the term small business and things like that, but we're not limited by that, right? We can establish a, a global multinational brand right here in America. And even if we just solely trade with the continent of Africa, or we trade with our own people, because we got our people throughout the world, right? We got people in Vietnam, we got people in Japan, people in Brazil. Like, even if we just said that, we only just want to target and do business with our folks globally. Like,
Right.
that's I don't forget how many billion people. I want to say it's close to two, maybe 2.5 billion of us. When you look at the continent and the diaspora,
When you include the continent, yeah, we're about
yeah, it's
billion. Yeah.
close to 3.
Yes.
Right. So what business do you have where you can have a demographic of 3 billion people and you're not going and you need to go outside of that, right?
Right.
So so excuse me. So that's where that's where we are right now starting. But then when we take it beyond that, right? What are those things? Because that's just more of on a micro level of us as an organization, us here as a committee, things like that. Like, what are kind of business ideas? When we look at it across as a people, like we have to start to push the idea into our people's heads of doing similar things, whether it's from a business standpoint in that state, or going to the continent and investing and building the continent up, going to the diaspora, investing and building the diaspora up. Because that's what one thing I don't think that we recognize is that's what a lot of people are doing.
Right.
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 I mean, it's no secret what's happening on the continent, from the Chinese to the Indian to the Lebanese to Europeans to even Americans. Like, from the thing that I constantly hear from friends of mine who are from the continent or visit the continent frequently is everybody's there but us, right? And I think it's something that's beginning to change, right? With last year, what happened with the 400, forgot what it was called, year of return.
Yeah, the year return.
Year return, and a lot of the like more repatriation efforts. I think we're starting to see it, but there's still a lot of people who aren't on that at all, who aren't even thinking about that. And not that we have to try to force and persuade people like you need to go back and this and that. Like, everybody's going to do their thing, but I think it would be a mistake to not look at the opportunity, and not just from a business standpoint, right? We're not capitalists, so we're not saying, "Hey, go invest in Africa and so you can make a big return and things like that." But we have to start to see Africa as a base, right? That we can build up because we don't have a base, right? And that's a big problem for us here in America. We don't have a power base,
Right.
right? But if we were to build Africa up as a power base, then that empowers all of us. And so that's the kind of strategy that we need to be in. And then looking at the diaspora too. Because I know in the Caribbean and in South America, again, China's doing the same thing. Like, they're building out a network. You go there, these are black countries. I was in Belize last year. It's a black country, beautiful country, and black folks everywhere. But you look at the businesses, the ones that are doing really well, they got Chinese Chinese billboards and stuff on top. Like, they're not even hiding the fact that it's Chinese. Online, they'll hide and be like, buy this dashiki. You got to do some research and find out it's coming from China. But down there, the top part of the billboard is in Chinese. The bottom part, in Belize, they speak English. So the bottom part was in English.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
That's
So they're not hiding.
that's amazing, man. I think that's a part of that effort is building relationships, man. We have to figure out
It has to be.
and develop and normalize the ideas of building relationships between us and people from Belize. between
Absolutely.
African American and the Afro Brazilian, the African American and the Afro
Right.
Caribbean, and the European, and so on and so forth, wherever we're scattered, man. I think really finding out a way to normalize the idea of, you know what, building relationships with them is not building relationships with them. Is finding family, finding
Yeah.
family. So how do we put that narrative into people's minds that actually they're family? Stop believing what you were taught.
Mm.
Have to reframe everything, and that's
Mm.
going to the ideas of the think tank, because that's the purpose of the think tank, is to come up with ideas
Mm.
on how to frame people's reality. Okay,
Right.
what
Right.
they do, they come out with these paradigms and things like that, and they write this off of these paradigms. They write these policies, and a lot of them are
Right.
always against our people. So,
Yep.
as in an effort to build a sovereign nation of our own, where, you know what, we just kind of turn inward and start doing for self. How do we start advancing those ideas and out there to where we can, for lack of a better word, re-propagandize our own people back into loving ourselves,
Yeah. Right.
understanding that we are not alone. We do have somewhere we can go. We really don't have to tolerate what's going on. We can, before even thinking about going to the continent, we can extract our labor. We can extract our
Yep.
money. We can extract our patronage. We can extract everything that is enriching this society. We can extract ourselves from. We don't have to go to the universities.
Right. Right.
We don't have to go, work in their jobs if we
Right. Right.
we don't have to be educated by them if we build our own
Right.
education system. We don't
That's right.
have to do any of that stuff. We could totally divest ourselves. And if we want to can continue on with things like sports and things like that, hey, we had the Negro leagues back in the day. We had Negro
That's right.
hockey leagues back in the day. So
That's right.
we could just do it for ourselves like we did it before. So that shouldn't be a deterrent. So
No.
the
We
next
we have to.
those ideas, advancing those ideas and that propaganda.
Yeah, you said a lot, man. It's all on point. I think on one of them it is. I think about this a lot. Like we have to be willing to give up the good in order to get the great, right? Like in a lot of ways, it is those of us in this country. And it's just my thinking on it. We've like become uh so integrated and assimilated into the society, right? And like overextended to a certain degree,
Right.
right? Into what we have and to being complacent with, the creature comforts of American society, right? So in order to get to a truly independent black nation or black society, this liberated existence that we all want to see, like, yeah, we may have to give up some of those comforts. We may have to sacrifice some of those comforts that we have now, you know, but in 20, 30, 40 years, however long it takes, once we have that vision, that goal of a truly liberated society, who's going to say it wasn't worth it,
Right.
right?
Right.
But at this stage, yeah, it may take some of that. Like it may take us, like you said, with the as the colleges and the universities being one example. Okay, so if people are used to having that type of experience, and I don't know what the like premier white universities experience is like,
Mm-hmm.
but like if people are used to that or expecting that or something like that, and you got to step back. I went to Texas Southern for a year. Texas Southern's in the hood. And you know what I'm saying? Like if you had to step back from going to Yale or whatever, Princeton, and you got to go to Third Ward in Houston to go to Texas Southern, like yeah, that might be a little bit of a sacrifice. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? But it's a necessary investment, and that's obviously just one example. But they're necessary sacrifices and necessary investments that we have to make for the benefit of our future, right? Like that's just when you look at every culture, we look at every society. Like there was that time, right? There was the Cultural Revolution,
Right.
right? There was a period where they said enough is enough,
Right.
and you can't say enough is enough and still live in your oppressor's house, right? And still have your culture be a directly aligned with your oppressor's culture. Like that was what Amilcar Cabral said, right? Like we have to understand that if we're gonna say enough is enough, then it has to be a breaking point, right? And we're there, like a lot of us are reaching that, like, fuck it, like I'll move. A lot of people's leaving, right? I'm moving to Jamaica, I'm moving to the continent, or I'm moving, you know what I'm saying, creating we was having a conversation within the trading conference group, like, let's buy some land and start a town. Like, you know what I'm saying? People are reaching that point. That's where we are right now. So it's just like you said, having those conversations on how to effectively do that, right? Because once you say enough is enough, and the people are saying is enough, there has to be a plan laid out on what do we do, where do we go, and all those things. So that was one of the points that you mentioned. I forgot the other point, but I think that's critical. I definitely on the conversation piece of starting the conversation, I 100% agree with that too. What's beautiful about I think where we are is and the time that we're living in is that we can start a conversation with somebody on the continent today. We can start a conversation, and not just from the technological advancements. Like, yeah, that's a huge part of it too. Like, I could reach out to people who are moving on the ground in Congo. I could reach out to, like the EFF in South America. South Africa. I know you're familiar with them. Like, we can touch base with these organizations and these movements and these individuals. You know what I'm saying? Press of a button. So I think that's a necessary step that we have to do.
Absolutely.
But then also the connections that we have here in America and here locally. I know a number of people who are connected to work that's happening in the Congo, connected to work that's happening in Liberia. Like, we connected with UNIA, so obviously they got connections on the continent. I know there's some connections of people in Central and South America, and that's just here. You know what I'm saying? Just part of the network.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to start using the relationships that we have more effectively and being more intentional about the relationships that we have, because it would be dope to get on a plane and go to Africa and go to UK and go on, and that time is coming. Like, that time is definitely coming. But there's a lot of work and bridges that we can build, sitting right here on a Zoom meeting.
Right. Absolutely. And that's yet a continuous conversation as well, because now we're conditioning the people's minds to understand just because they speak Portuguese,
that's right,
your brother and sister. Even educating our brothers and sisters to know that we're not even the largest group of Africans outside the continent. They're actually in Brazil.
Brazil, that's right.
And in one particular part of Brazil, not even the entire continent.
Right.
Clustered together, in Bahia and places like that.
Yeah.
So
they under the same oppression that we are. They got tropical Trump down there. Their president, you know what I'm saying, is identical. Like, how fascinating is it that our struggles are so linked? There's got to be more coincidence to it.
Absolutely. When you really open up your eyes, man. I mean, when we really decide to just stop paying attention to what we're hearing and just take a look. Just take a look at what's happening in Britain right now, man. In Brixton, in those cities, man, we catching it hard right now. Brothers going to jail.
Everywhere.
All the protesters, they coming back and to get them, just like they doing here. Same thing in Brazil. They disappearing, all kinds of
and they've been doing that for years.
So it's like, how do we find that? How do we continue to drum that message up to, first of all, eliminate that fear that a lot of us have of even having a conversation like this, where we're looking to elevate where we are beyond the protest? How do we, socialize and get the people's mind to thinking that this is normal to hook up with my people? This is normal to, our struggles is exact same. Hey, you look like that. Okay, what are we gonna do now? Let's connect with the continent and form like Voltron. How do we get people there, brother? How do we do it?
Oh man, I got the $1 million answer for that.
Okay.
That's why we created TWG. You it, brother. That was the whole and sole purpose of TWG. Like, it stands for the Waking Giant. Right. So us waking up to the fact that we are that giant, right? And our struggles, and that's on the website. Our struggles are linked, as is our destiny.
Right.
Right. Like, so yeah, we definitely have to do that, and people have to understand, like this is this is revolutionary ideas we're talking about, right? And it's not the first time these things have happened. And so, the people who thrive in status quo and who don't want to see this type of change happen, because there's no halfway to it,
Right.
right? Like once people understand the reality in that, understand the commonality in that, and the necessity of and as Kwame Ture says, the inevitability of revolution. Like there's no taking it to the 10-yard line and stopping,
Right.
right? Like you got to run that thing all the way in,
Yeah.
right? Complete and total global liberation, like that's the end of it. They know it,
Right.
right? So it's only right for them to continue to have this campaign of confusion and keeping us distracted and keeping us thinking that, oh, we're gonna paint Black Lives Matter in the street, and oh, we're gonna tear a sign down, and they're gonna do everything they gotta do to keep us focused on being accepted in America,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if you take your eyes off being accepted in America and you think global empowerment and you think global liberation, then that, the whole cookie crumbles,
Exactly.
right? So it's natural or not natural, but it's logical that our people are distracted, right? Because there's $1 billion empire involved in keeping us distracted,
Right.
right? But that's why, but again, that's why TWG was created to take away those distractions and to constantly and consistently propagandize our people to understand the truth and the reality where we
And,
right? The truth and the reality that the same thing oppressing us is the same thing that's oppressing our brothers and sisters in Brazil, in the UK, in Guyana, in Belize, on the continent, right? It's the same thing, right? And so just like when Haiti liberated themselves in the Haitian Revolution, right? They didn't stop there, right? They went all over the place, liberating half of the Caribbean and South America, right? And we got to do the same damn thing.
absolutely. And we see what the end result of that is. So the goal
Right.
is also to prevent that from happening.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
We know
Hindsight.
once we start, like you said, our beingness here is $1 billion industry. So that's the extraction of our labor. You have our athletes, you know what I'm saying, in our working class. You have the extraction of our wealth. You have the extraction of everything that makes us us, and it's monetized. Pulling that away, you know what I'm saying? Because you talking our high schoolers, you talking, I'll just keep it on the level of sports. You talking our football players and basketball players, man, in college.
Yep.
How much money they make for the NCAA. So
Right.
pulling the strings on that, and not even sending
Right.
them to
That's one thing.
HBCUs, but actually not even sending them to HBCUs because college is really, unless you're studying something to actually be something, you're just wasting time and money. But
Right.
actually, if these guys want to do this as a profession, okay, you actually move them into that where they have to grow into that professional level. So they have the
Right.
CPA and the different levels, you know what I'm saying, all
Man.
run by Black people. So that's what we need to do. We need to take what's the best of us at this point until everything else can get expanded. Wow.
Well,
My hold on. I just went completely black. Hold on.
I can still see you.
You can see me?
Uh-huh.
Yep, my screen.
Your screen went black.
Yeah, my screen went completely black. I
That's
just
weird.
see my
It
camera.
just timed out or something.
No, I didn't time out yet.
Hmm.
I got the clock running for that.
Okay.
Pause anyway. While I
Yeah.
was recording, but I can't. Wow, you went completely black on me. But you can see me.
Yeah, I can see you just fine. Nothing changed.
Well, I guess I'll just keep going then. But what? So, am I moving on? Can you see me on the screen at all?
Yeah. It looked the exact same as it did before. It
Okay.
got a little bit darker, probably just because your screen turned off, but I see you just fine. Background, the virtual background, everything.
All right. Well, I'll just keep going until you pop back up. Let me see.
Yeah, if it changed, I'll let you know.
All right. It was twitching. All right. So I'll just have that edited out. So just keep
Okay.
going.
Okay. Back up again though, because now the virtual background is everywhere. Uh-oh. There we go. There we go.
Right here.
Yeah, right there.
All right. Cool. Okay. So,
Yeah.
okay, and so you going back and forth. All right. So anyway, so yeah, man, just normalizing the idea of getting our people to see the importance of seeing the same struggle in everybody else, man, and
Yeah.
unifying those minds and unifying those narratives and countering the narratives. So absolutely right, brother. The TWG, the Waking Giant, was created to do that, to counter the and
Yeah.
consistent drum major for this beat, man. So we have to
Yeah.
keep going, and and that's in coalition building, that's in relationship
Oh
building,
yeah.
and we have to lead the way, not just talking about it, but being about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So with that, it's like, okay, now we can provide our people with all kinds of options. You can stay,
Right. Right.
and this is what we're gonna do if we stay,
Yeah.
or you can go, but you're gonna be a producer when you go. It's not just to go,
Right.
to vacation, and it's to build up for what's about to come.
Right.
And not
Absolutely.
only are we extracting our labor and everything, will we be doing that here in America, but it'll be happening globally, right? And then
Right. Absolutely.
the kicker will be the continent, because when the continent decides to start cutting those strings, right? To France,
Yeah. Yeah.
Britain, to Belgium, to Portugal.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? To the so-called Middle East with all with the oil. You know what I'm saying? When everybody's get cut the hell off, okay,
Yeah.
we have to be prepared with a military that you will not believe, because um, that's where the work that we're going to do has to come in to erase those borders in Africa, to get them to see each other, because
Oh
they
yeah.
they got a number done on them too. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's only right. That's a large reason why China is able to come in and do the things they do, because they're writing a check.
Right. And
Right.
the people
You
are
know, they're bringing in resources.
yep,
Right. So if we're that we, it's tough to say. It's just like, somebody in the street, you say, hey, stop doing what you're doing. Right. But if you can't provide, what I'm saying, that same support system, or you can't provide the same opportunity and then what they do in the street, then what place are you in? You
right,
know what I mean? Like, it sounds good, right? But we got to be able to back it up with action.
exactly. And that's what really, man, having that economic, really it falls back on that base, that having that economic
Boom.
institutional power, you know what I'm saying, to building that, you know what I mean? And that's what
Exactly.
China in the position it's in now. In the 80s, China was trash. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was talking about China.
Come on.
I was thinking about China,
Come on.
but the Chinese got smart, and they said, okay,
Long-term view.
America is now can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, we can see now that America is a consumer-based country. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So let's learn their technology. If you remember in the late 80s, mid 80s,
Yeah.
there's all of these tech breaches and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because the Chinese, were being accused of spying and things like that, stealing
Hmm.
secrets, because they were learning how to do certain things. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Now look at them. They're economic world power. You know what I'm saying? They did that within a generation. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Exactly.
That's like my son's lifespan, which is 20, 21 years. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Boom. So we could do the same exact
You can do it.
thing. But the
Exactly.
problem we gonna have, brother, is we don't fight. Like, we don't have a military that's going to protect us. So in this think tank, now we have to also put into a great consideration protection.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That has to be a necessary element of it. Like, we see hindsight, is 2020. And so we understand that, the same threat that a Black Wall Street posed, if we have a Black nation, right? United States of Africa, Black Wall Street times 20, right? So we can't be naive in thinking that, the powers that be would just let that happen, right? We saw that with Gaddafi. We saw that with Patrice Lumumba. We've seen that over and over again, right? So we have to understand, and I think, well, I mean, I think we all understand it, but definitely in America, like, been so close to our oppressor for so long, like, we understand how they operate, right? And we're not naive that they just gonna let something like this go down. So yeah, so we definitely have to be smart about it, but we also have to just understand that it's our time. right? Like America is falling, right? It's falling right in front of our eyes. So we definitely have to be smart about protecting it and things like that. But I think if I was to say, if I was to give it a breakdown, 80% needs to go to build and 20% to protect it. Like we got to build this thing, right? Like, um, it's just a time for it's a time for us to be free,
Right.
right? So yeah. I think we on the same page on that. And then you had mentioned something else about the seeing the our struggles as linked, seeing our our commonality and
Absolutely.
having solidarity with our own people. And the beautiful part about that is it is happening, right? Like we are seeing that come to light more and more often, especially in light of like everybody sitting down, our timeout, right? We all got put on timeout, so
Right.
we are seeing the realities of what's happening. White folks are seeing the reality of what's happening and have to look at it, what I'm saying, unflinchingly. And so I think we're seeing it happen more and more. And just in thinking about it, I think what we have the opportunity to do is to like um, shine a light on it, right? Like every time something's just like exposing the contradictions, like every time something like that happens, we need to shine a light on it and show the power of our unity, show the commonality of our struggle. Like I think that's a big opportunity that TWG has and Ministry of Information has. Like it's just showing it, right? Because a lot of stuff will get swept under the rug. A lot of stuff is like if we're media, right? The mainstream, we know the mainstream media is not going to push that. They're going to push, hey, we painted Black Lives Matter in the street. Or, hey, this statue of Christopher Columbus came down. Or, hey, look at what Trump said. Like, we know that they're going to push some bullshit.
And endless, what was it? Endless symbolism.
Exactly. Yeah, right. We know it's going to be some symbolic stuff that don't mean nothing. But if we're media, if we're what I'm saying, we have a platform. I think it behooves us to shine a light on those things that are going to, like we said, open the minds of our people and help them to see both the unity in our struggle and the opportunity for us to have higher levels of freedom by working together.
Right. And getting them to see the value in doing that and how that can actually literally save your life. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
Save your life or your family.
that's our look. That's our only solution.
I mean, there is no other way, brother.
At the end of the day, that's our only solution. So,
Because we
you either get on the board or you go down with the ship. Like those are the choices that you make. It
that's it. What was that term? Groggle me, get right or get left. Like that's
right,
basically what it is. You gonna
right.
have to, and it's not
And
even
some people will.
decide. You're gonna have to figure out what you want to do because the
Yeah, and
some wanted to go into the promised land,
right, right.
and others
And
want
some people will.
to Egypt.
Yeah. I mean, and some people will, and we, as leaders or whatever, I think we have to be mindful of that, and speak in those certain terms because some people will, right? When presented with the option, some people would just, okay, I'm just gonna go down with the ship. It's been a good run, 15, 20 years or whatever. Like, I'm not with the sacrifice, right? And I'm gonna stay in the burning house. Like some people will make that decision, whether they actively make it or they passively make it by not willing to make a change,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we can't force them, right? We're not in a position to force anybody to do anything.
Right.
I think we have to um, um, raise a flag on what the situation is right now and what the options are right now, because it's a real time right now. Like it's fight or flight mode. Like you can you can stay and fight and try to get these people to act human, or you could do something different. And and then presented with information, people make a choice.
We see that what we're dealing with, you can't. There is no rationalizing. There's no um, sitting down and try to come to some kind of consensus because we're always going to end up with the short end of the stick. There's
Right.
no.
Yeah, it's not the first time. It's not the 10th time.
We've done this before.
Right. Too many times.
Yeah. So what are we going to do? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to continue to try to pull up a chair to the seat of the table, or
Right.
create a damn table
Right.
and for
Right.
your family to eat off of and for your community to eat off of? Is that what
Right.
you're going to do, or are you going to continue to push this, try to construct a chair first of all that
Right.
yanking from you? When you finally get the ability to get up there, you
Right.
you need to still be at the little kids table, so you got the little
Right.
toddler chair,
Right.
you got the big thrones.
Right.
So,
Right. I mean, and we got. I mean, let me be clear on something too. Like, as far as chairs and tables go, like, there's a place at a table if it's a strategic thing. Like, I can see somebody, like, there's people running for local office right now, and I'm backing them. I'm like, hey, like, let's get you in there, right? Because we get somebody in the city council, we get people on the governing boards and things like that. Then yeah, that's some power and their influence that we can exert that benefits us, right? But it's not disillusion to think, oh, you know what I'm saying? They accept us, or oh, this is a diversity, or whatever reasons they have in mind. Like that's to me, that's naive, right? But if we have a strategic purpose and an agenda for getting something, and so that we can divert resources or information or whatever back to our communities so that we can continue this work, then in my mind there's a place for that. But this whole, we want a seat at the table, and what I'm saying, change Hollywood and all these other things. Like, to me, that's kind of short-sighted.
right. So to do it without a strategy, you're just wasting time. You begging.
Wasting time. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Right. That's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing.
Instead of
Yeah.
being there in a position of power. So I feel what you're saying.
Yeah.
So in a sense, there's no problem with having a seat at the table if you're coming in a position of power. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you got,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? So now it's like, now we're even with everybody else, with the Jews,
Exactly.
regular white people, with the Mexicans, with everybody else. Now
Right.
we're on even table. So now we cut the pie.
Exactly.
And even.
Exactly. And understand that that's a tactic in the overall strategy of our own table.
Right.
Like, it doesn't, if we don't get a seat at the table and it stops there, all right, like, we getting a seat at that table, we want to see at every table, but all of it feeds back to our own table, which is a global table, right?
Right. So yes, so constructing that table of many chairs for
Right.
for our nation, and we
Right.
on the global scale, like boom, we
Right.
and actually, what we're coming to do is get back what you're only in power because of us.
Right.
So
Right.
that was really time to flip the script, because France shouldn't be, if Africa decides to, if those leaders out there in those French-led countries on the continent decide to, for lack of a better term, grow a pair, and stop allowing themselves to be co-opted and corrupted,
Yep.
we can get rid of the French. The French are heavily dependent on Africa and everything that
Oh, yeah.
provides, because somewhere around 80% of their GDP derives
Wow.
from Africa.
Wow.
So they would literally, within a generation, fall into third world status. We'll see the really dark ages of the year of Europe. You know what I'm saying? And that will be a permanent state for them, because
Right.
once we fortify this nation, once we get the continent back to where, and that's the vision, and we may not live to see it at that point.
Right.
But the building blocks that we putting in effect, man, that's something that we definitely have the utter obligation, once we know that this is what we need to do to actually,
Oh, yeah.
make come about. You know what I'm saying?
Right, absolutely. And again, they know it. Like, they're not, it's not lost on them that you know what I'm saying, that their days are potentially numbered once Africans get organized, right? Like, that's why they're backing these puppet leaders and trying to pay back militias and things like that. Like, they know what they're doing. So we have to be as intentional and as organized about about our liberation as they are about our exploitation.
Right. Highly strategic.
We got some ground to cover, obviously, because they got a head start, but we
Oh,
can
we
do
got
it.
a couple centuries on us, man. So we
Right.
We got
right,
super sapiens and get this done.
right,
'Cause,
right. But we got destiny on our side. You know, we got the entire universe on our side. You
absolutely,
know.
we do, but we have to carry it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have to. Yeah, right.
Gotta,
It take we got to keep moving forward.
absolutely. You know, and they're the ones. And when you look back in ancient, in our even in our ancient culture, not everyone was rocking the way. The ones who knew how to move the society forward, you know,
Right,
was rocking that way.
right,
It's just not gonna happen like that. That's just what it is. You got
right,
those who are the elevated ones who have the vision and who who understand and put in place the systems that move the culture forward. So, um,
right,
you know, but in those days, if you wasn't producing, you were useless. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna
right,
be like
right.
that, I think, man. But once we figure out a way to expel, you know, the enemy within us, and that's another propagandizing tool is learning how to
Mhm.
and showing and displaying how we really need to fall back in love with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Really start developing a self-love. um I think Stokely Carmichael had talked about that. Like, you know, we're not gonna really get too far if we don't love each other, man. We just would.
Oh yeah, no, that's a fact.
And you know, we can't even talk about building a table, getting to a table, getting to, you know, our global family without figuring out how the person I see in the mirror first is the one that I love the most, the one I
Mhm.
love the most. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh
then,
yeah,
you know, then when I see my people, because I love the one that I look in the mirror and see the most.
yep,
I see when I see you, brother, I see me. So I'm like, you
yes
know,
sir.
and that's the law, right? That's my
Right,
that's how you
absolutely.
love your brothers, you love yourself. I'm not going to do anything to harm you because
Yep,
I don't want nothing to happen to me to harm me. I don't want you to harm me. So
right,
now that
right,
we have that understanding, how can we deal in peace? And that's where we come up with peace, brother. You know what I'm saying? And then boom,
right.
either deal in business or we talk about each other's families, you know, see how everybody's doing, checking on everybody, you know. So
Yeah,
that's what we do. So
right.
normalizing that, and reminding our people, man, that that is, you know, beyond anything else, man. Without love, and it doesn't mean emotional love. You know, it doesn't mean we got to walk around hugging each other. It doesn't mean, you know, anything like that. You know what I mean? It's an all encompassing kind of love where, you know how it is when you see somebody you haven't seen in a while, a couple years, and they were friends, you guys were friends, and you know, you just pick right up where you left off. You know, if you
Right.
pick up, you know, it's that kind of love where you,
Hey, pause real quick.
yeah.
Yeah, the camera, the thing is showing just the background again. Back up some.
You see, yeah, and that's part of it.
Because your camera still it's still not showing.
Oh, so I'm
Huh.
just going off of, it's like flashing in and out.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
See, it's in, that was a flash right there.
Okay. Yeah, I
Um,
can see you now. I can see you again.
okay, all right, cool. So all right, so
All
yeah,
right, my bad.
just getting back to that self love, man. That's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's at the root of all of it, right? Like for those familiar with the organization, right? We got ministries in every just about every facet, from education to health to defense to you name it. But that spirituality piece and this piece on self knowledge of self, like that's the root of all this stuff. Because if we don't know who we are and don't know anything about ourselves, and like you said to your point, if we don't love ourselves, then this is gonna be short lived, right? Like we gotta have a deep seated and abiding love for ourselves and for our people. I mean, really, when we get the layers you go, right? All creation, right? Like
all.
I feel connected to all this stuff, right? Like I don't want to see a tree get burned down. I don't want to see an animal suffer. Like I don't want to see, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the creator in me.
Right,
But
and
my people are.
we 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 connect with nature. You know what I'm saying? Like we would need to
Oh,
earth, man, like a good, you know, 7 years of just rest. You know what I'm saying? So it can replenish from this consistent reaping. You know what I'm saying? That has been receiving over the last what, 300 years. You know
Man,
what I mean? On the continent here, just the constant reaping of the land, the
man,
trees being cut down in the forest and things like that, man. Where the earth just needs a big old rest, and I think that's where this virus came from. But that's
that's exactly what that's exactly what this was.
you know what I'm saying? It's
That's exactly what this was.
constant reaping.
Time out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. Like,
time out.
on
You know
this,
what I'm saying? And an opportunity for us. You know what
right,
I'm saying?
right,
I truly believe that. Scoot forward again. There we go. And an opportunity for us, to really take the time to get organized, right? Because this with that constant onslaught of working and just trying to keep up in this rat race, right? It was like damn near impossible. And then in trying to organize people, like our people were so distracted from the MFLs to the NBAs to the clubs to the say you name it. Um, you know, so this has pumped the brakes on everything and also put it directly in our faces. What we're dealing with
right,
and their unwillingness to be saying human beings about the situation.
right.
So
Trying though. They trying, man. They trying to get the sports going. I think the NBA had some exhibition games. I think they're trying to kick up the NFL. I know baseball having some, exhibition games and things like that. Spring league.
that takes leadership, man. Like
Yeah,
those
that's
guys shouldn't be out there playing. Like I understand that's the livelihood, but this is a much bigger time that we're in than going out and playing some damn games.
yeah, man. This not the time for that, man.
Hell no, hell no.
It,
Like there's gonna be a price to pay for standing in the way of progress.
right.
People got to understand that. Like
And
I wouldn't advise that.
I wouldn't advise that at all. And because they linked up with, you know, those folks, uh,
Right,
and under contract and things like,
right,
you know,
exactly. And that's how we lose our power over some damn money. I
over,
wouldn't be surprised if they paying some of them off just so they speak out against it.
right.
Right? Because I've seen some people making statements like, no, I think Dwight Howard did. He was like, this ain't the time for us to be playing games. Like our people are rising. Like I took my hat off for the brother. Like he scoot forward again.
Did say,
What I'm saying, had a real powerful statement. Then I seen some other people like, yeah, we're going back to play and this we need to be playing. I'm like, hey, come on, are you serious?
yeah, man. And Stephen A.
But
Smith, these guys need to be playing. America
yeah, but
needs something, else to look at. No, no, they don't.
right, right. But what I'm saying, you can write a check, you can get somebody to say anything.
Right. And
When
that,
you you know what I'm saying, when money is what you value, right? Like your integrity is for sale. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem with too many people is that they'll say anything for some damn money.
too many of us, man. And it's par for the course, but at the same time, it's painful to see. You know what I mean?
It's real painful to see, especially in a time like this. It ain't enough money in the world to that should stop us from that goal because we're so close,
Absolutely not.
right? Like
It's like, are you even paying attention? And
you
that's
you can't be
right.
you can't be paying attention. You're gonna have to scoot real close because they keep going back to the other thing.
How's this?
There we go. Yep.
All right. Yeah, because I'm still
Uh,
looking at a black screen.
yeah. And I can see you now.
Okay.
Yeah, they can't be paying attention.
All right.
They can't be paying attention.
At all. And even if they are, what kind of person just doesn't care? You know what I
Man,
mean? Like, who are
like
you?
you got these kids out here fighting. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to. They don't want to. They don't. None of us deserve to, but especially our babies. They don't deserve to live in a world like this where they gotta protest every damn day after somebody gets shot.
And
Like how many times are we gonna have to protest and do a say my name hashtag after the police kill somebody? Like that's not freedom. That's not living.
right. And they
You
see,
know, like
this generation sees that, man. And it
they
this
see it. They see the game.
man, they
They
so
see the game. That's why they coming out with this defund the police. That's where their whole thing came from. It's like we would rather have no police and deal with that than to have to deal with what we deal with every single time. right? And it's logical. I agree with him. Like, I'd rather have no police than what we got.
Right.
And
Right.
nobody's gonna want to, even the, like, the civilian review boards and police accountability, like, that's all reactive stuff after they kill somebody or shoot somebody. Like, our children, we deserve a world where we ain't gotta be worried about the police killing somebody. Like,
Absolutely.
that's the kind of world they want to live in. They don't want to have to live in a world where, okay, the police shot somebody, now we can all sit down and we got some power to punish this police officer. No,
Mhm.
I don't want to have to think about punishing the person who's paid my tax dollars to protect and serve, and they done shot an innocent person, shot somebody laying in their bed. Like, that's not a conversation I want to have, and definitely not a world I want my daughter growing up in.
Right. Right.
I'd rather leave. I'd rather separate. I'd rather burn all this stuff down than have them come up in a world where they got to think about that,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
nobody else children got to think about that. So you willing to take some money in order to keep that kind of reality going?
Yeah.
What kind of person are you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What kind of person are you to distract the people from what's at hand right now over some money, man?
Some money, man. But we saw that, man. They the sister that wrote the Matrix showed us that. You know what I mean? When
Right.
the one guy that even knew that what was once he thought was his reality was fake, but still wanted to go back just so he can get a piece of the steak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was just
And that's what I tell you. We gotta be mindful that not everybody's gonna be on what we on. Some people, they just want the steak, right? They just want, send me back and make me rich, right? I rather the comfortable lie than the uncomfortable truth,
right, right.
right?
And
You
that's
know what I'm saying? Even if it's 5 more years and I got to check out, you know what I'm saying? I rather that than go through, well, them years in the desert, right? Them years in the wilderness. I rather, you know what I'm saying? That's just a reality,
right.
and so we got to be understanding of that, but also understanding that those same people could potentially sabotage,
And
right?
that's another thing, man. That's where study and history come into play, man. Because what did the Haitians do as part
Yeah,
of the revolution? They
right.
had
Same thing everybody do. You know what I'm saying? Got to get rid of them co-conspirators, man. Got to get rid of them Uncle Toms.
right, right. You got to
You
get
know, it's inevitable.
you
It's
know
inevitable.
those co-conspirators, those mulattoes, those
Yeah,
the mulattoes were the buffer class, so
right.
them were thought they were French until they were shown otherwise.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
right. And we've seen it. We've seen it throughout history. You know, the infiltrators in the nation and the Panthers, right? Like, who was the one brother? Jajaga, the general in the Panthers, the former military brother.
yeah, Kunjufu, right? Langa, Langa Kunjufu or something like that.
Nah, the brother who just got out a couple years, not a couple years ago, but he got let out within, like, maybe like the last 10 years, moved to Africa and passed away. Jajaga, and I'll have to look his
Oh,
name
I
up.
know you talking about. Yeah, he did like
Talking about,
10 years in the pen. Gia Jock. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Tall brother.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
bald headed.
yeah, bald head brother.
I
Yeah,
gotta look his name up now.
yeah,
'Cause it's gonna look.
passed away.
Uh,
Pratt, Pratt,
yeah,
Geronimo Pratt. There you go.
Geronimo Pratt, right?
Yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying? There was a brother that was assigned to him, right? And he, after the fact, admitted, he felt bad because he was an honorable man.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? But he compromised his integrity. You know what I'm saying? What? Right? And look what kind of man he had locked up unjustly for all that time, all those years. And then by the time he got out, he moved to Africa and passed away a couple years later.
wow,
Right?
I
Like,
didn't know that.
yeah, man. Yeah,
Away
that's the heartbreaker.
just a couple years after being out.
Yeah, yeah. I think he was only out maybe like a year or two. He died.
Wow.
But
So that's what
but
we.
yeah,
So that's 60s, 70s style COINTELPRO, right?
yeah,
So we got to be on the lookout for that too. Too
yeah, right,
COINTELPRO 2,
right,
right? More sophisticated. You know what I'm saying? Where now it's online. We're dealing with bots. We're dealing with false
man.
accounts. We're dealing with you know, virtual reality, you know, we got all kinds of stuff, man. So who knows, just by you and I having this type of conversation where we're you know, thinking beyond some
Yeah.
lives matter painted on the street like we asked for that.
Right. Right. Oh yeah. I mean, we can't be naive to the fact of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? We have these conversations openly. You know what I'm saying? And these aren't just conversations, right? Like we had the ability to actually do some of the things we talk about.
Right.
Hopefully, all the things we talk about, we got the ability to do. But definitely some of them.
Yep.
And so that's a threat to the system. That's a threat to the status quo. And so, you know,
Yep.
we have to be mindful in our moves and in the work that we do, but also in, you know, in living beyond us, right? Because ain't no guarantee that, you know what I'm saying, none of us going, it's a guarantee we ain't gonna live forever,
Right.
right? But ain't no guarantee we're gonna live to tomorrow for
Right.
whatever reason, you know what I'm saying? So the work has to continue.
Right. And that what comes with our young being locked into what we're doing and
Yeah, yeah.
continuing on the mission. And I had a great conversation with my son yesterday.
Mm.
He's, you know,
Student.
right at that age, 21. Is this better? Right here.
Yeah, yeah. It's still kind of like going in and out, but we have to make it work, I guess.
How's this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you go kind of toward the middle, it's a little better. Keep going right there. Stop right there.
All right. All right, cool. So this is cool right here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I can see you now.
Okay. So my son, who's like 21 right now, so he's what, Gen Z, they call him. So he's
Yeah,
generations under me, basically. And you know,
yeah,
our next generation, but socially he's 2 generations under. And he said, you know, just his observation of the last, you know, of the civil rights movement and all the protests from the past. He said, what's making this one so different, Dad, and what's making it more powerful is that we're not doing it alone. He said we can't do it alone. So he was saying we, you know, without us even really asking or, you know, really looking to them, you know, our generation is standing up in all colors and we all doing it. We're not looking to them
right,
to help us. We're not looking to them to lead the way, but because it's
right,
more of them, they're going to be more of them out there. But that's
right.
what's making it different. He said, and that's what's making the change happen because it ain't just us. So I,
Yeah,
that's a deep observation, son. You actually saw that, and you said, "Yeah, man."
yeah, yeah.
You know, that's the difference. So you know, he has a goal and a mission in his mind where he'll be in a position of being productive. um
Mm.
he's done with, you know, his grind time, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
He's able to contribute, you know, in his manhood. He'll be ready. He got a plan. So that's
Powerful.
something that we gotta, you know what I'm saying, really instill, especially in our young men. My youngest son the same way. He's hitting on 18 next month, so he has
Yeah,
so he's working on his plan and figuring out his path and how
nice.
he's going to contribute in the next decade. You know, I'm
Yeah,
pushing the contribution was needed to be
yeah.
contributed to what we need. My daughter as well, who's trying to start her own business,
Mm.
just natural skincare products and things like that. Same thing.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Contribute. Don't just take from. You know what I'm saying? We trying
Right,
to build.
right.
So even instill
Yeah,
that kind of mind state within our young, I think that's how we're going to perpetuate this, you know what I'm saying, and keep this going, man. But it has to be
we
intentional,
have to.
like you said, brother. It has to be very, very.
Yeah, we have to. You know, we absolutely have to. We gotta lay that foundation, right? We got to do that groundwork. You know what I'm saying? So when they step up, they can just keep going. They're not starting from the same place they're starting from.
Hitting the
You know
ground.
what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. Like that's definitely what we got to be on. And helping them understand the reality of the situation too. Like I'm optimistic about what I'm seeing and stuff like that. But again, this ain't the first time we've been here,
Exactly.
right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Freedom Riders, it was Freedom Riders of all colors. Like, there's been movements, you know what I'm saying, that people have aligned with us and things like that. But again, this ain't going to the 10-yard line. Like,
Right.
we going all the way to liberation,
Right.
right? And that's gonna be a much bigger sacrifice than put on a T-shirt and walking up and down the street. You know, so in the past they haven't shown that willingness. Is this time different? It could be. right? Like it could be that a lot of folks know that global liberation is gonna start with Black liberation, right? Like a lot of folks have been exploited. We ain't the only ones in them jails, right? We ain't the only people that's poor. We ain't the only people that's strung out on drugs that's coming from the government and all this stuff. Like at this point, it's a class and race fight, right? Like they oppressing poor people and all kind of folks, especially when you look out globally, right? Like what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Syria, like what I'm saying, a lot of people is getting brought into this deal by this system,
Oh,
right? And so they understand that once we get free, just like Haiti, like we ain't gonna get free and leave the rest of this planet in shambles, right? Big Brother has returned, like we said. You know what I'm saying? So are they willing to go the full distance with us? Hopefully, possibly. But if they not, that don't excuse us from going the full distance,
right.
right? Like our youth need to understand that. Like, and we're going all the way with this. So, where as far as they're willing to go, okay, cool. They're willing to go that far, and then they're gonna stop. Okay, well, let's not put 100% faith in them going all the way. Like, let's understand history and how they've operated in the past. You know what I'm saying? And let's be prepared to go all the way.
Lay the tracks down, lay the foundation,
Man, that's it.
have the youth just come right behind us, man. Those that are, I always like to use that phrase that Christ uses, man. Those who have an ear to hear, let them hear. You know what I'm saying?
I'm here.
Everybody's going to,
Yeah.
everybody's going to hear it, but not everybody's going to
Yep.
receive. You know what I'm saying? And then take it in.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And in this generation, you know what I'm saying? We don't even, what I like about this generation, they either going to feel you or they not. So all we got
Right.
to do
Right.
put it out there and do the work
Yeah.
and
Real
show them
time.
how it's
And
done.
do the work. Yeah, exactly. Like it can't be on some what y'all need to do is. No, we taking them arrows.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like we understand that it's a price to pay, and we got to be willing to pay that price to set them up. You know? Because I mean, it ain't this ain't the first time something like this been done. You know,
Absolutely.
so we just got to understand. Like Malcolm said, like look at history. Histories are the greatest teacher. Right? Of all of our studies, history is the one that gives the greatest reward. Anybody that's been up in the same condition, look at what they did to come out from under, right? Like, and we've done it. This ain't definitely in our first rodeo, but we now we have hindsight of how of to the depths that this person will go to support our efforts,
Right,
right?
right.
So
So then the lesson,
yes,
how do we move in that to where we don't come back here again? And I'm sure that was a conversation then too, but this is a different world.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we could literally, if we so choose to, which they try to prevent by creating all this carbon footprint and all this stuff, you could kind of just go under the radar and get things done because they so busy and
yeah,
focused here that
yeah, yeah,
we're getting the wheels turning, we're getting the wheels turning, and there's no way to stop that. Well, what are you gonna do?
yeah,
There's nothing you can do to stop that because it's beyond us. It's a spirit, so it's beyond what we're doing. Just by bringing this energy, we're creating kind of a spiritual ripple. You know what I'm
oh
saying?
yeah,
So it's creating that energy that is reverberating, and everybody's feeling it.
oh yeah,
But those that have an ear to hear, they're the ones that's going to come in and do the work that's being required of them. And those are
right, right,
we
right,
don't have no time for hangers on. We don't have time for that because the time is short. Malcolm X said, we what we're doing, LOC is like an already too late contingent plan, but we putting it into effect because
right, right, right.
necessary because you think, you have many plans, many organizations, many groups, many. How many did Malcolm X started one, how many people started groups and this, that, and the third. It's been going on since the end of slavery.
Yeah,
So what makes this movement different? What is it a time fulfillment? So we went through that for a dispensation of time, or are we really, ushering in, or what is being ushered in, what, the dawn of the age of Aquarius, the age of knowing? So we're actually switching over into this paradigm of knowing. Is that where we are? And we're being active in the, in the fall of the receiver. Um, what is our role here? You know what I'm saying? And because we can't continue. Like having that discussion. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Having that discussion with my son made me realize, it made me sad a little bit too, because I was like, man, I know my great grandfather did not break his back for me to have the same conversation with his great great grandson that he had with his own son. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, right.
yeah,
Right.
I'm literally continuing on a conversation with him that epigenetically I feel and have experienced. Physically, I feel, in present time, feel and experience, and then
Yeah.
in past time, present, in certain cultures, reincarnation happens after every fourth generation. So
Mm.
if you take it that way, my son is his great grandfather. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, the same condition. You see what I'm saying? So
Right. Right.
he is epigenetically tagged in some way, shape, or form because he's convicted in his spirit just like everybody else.
Yeah,
So
right. Right.
it's like, damn, so some way he's connected.
That's
So
deep.
when we go back 14 generations, that's 350 years. That's, right around the time we landed on these shores, part of the family landed on these shores. So
Yeah.
that's still generations that have to play out till we get to emancipation. You know what I'm saying? And then that
Yeah.
free spirit, is it that generation? So are we looking at another 3 or 4 generations before this happens? Does it even matter? You know what I'm saying? Or do we plan for, or do we know that and then we plan for that? You see what I'm saying? So do we look at history and say, for those years that we were in servitude, the blood the epigenetic coding of our experience that got us here to this point now is still within us because my son is still feeling things, okay? And we're in 2020. He hasn't
Yeah.
his family yet to bring on that next generation to see if that tag continues. So I believe it's incumbent upon us, you know what I'm saying, to and which we're doing, but I think we need to do it in a more resounding way, which we will, which we are,
Yeah.
and we
So,
continue to chip away because Rome fell in 250 years, you know, all those great powers from the Babylonians to the Romans to the Persian and the Medes, all of those kingdoms fell within the 200 to 300 year period.
mhm.
You just can't, it just doesn't last. You know what I'm saying? And just like capitalism, it's unsustainable. It's
That's
not,
sustainable.
you know what I'm saying? Because you
Oh
cannot
yeah.
have such an imbalance, you know what I'm saying, that you created a system that allows 6 people to control the financial
Mm.
destiny of 350, million. Not include, well, actually, I'll expand it to 7.5 billion, on the
Right. Right. Right.
you got 7 families that control all of that, man. So that has to go away. That's not
That's true.
that's not the way, so that was necessary to form for the formation of the creation of this evil that we talk
Right.
about right now. But the dismantling of that is going to take all of us, family. You
It
know,
definitely is. It definitely is. And I think we lead the charge, you know. But you're absolutely right. Like what's going on right now, this situation is not sustainable. It's not gonna last. Right. And so we gotta be diligent in our preparation, and really diligent. Something I've been thinking about. Hold on, scoot in again, and then scoot back. Uh-uh. Here. Uh, there we go. There we go. Okay,
all
I
right,
got you.
okay,
Yeah. Hold on. It's like going in and out a little bit. Okay. All right. Solid.
okay,
Um. Oh, but yeah, just diligent in preparing and planning for that, right? And something that's been on my mind a lot lately is like ensuring what we bring about is not just the next thing, right? Like we don't want a new America, a new capitalist society, right? Like that's not like we're not building a new dictatorship, like you know what I mean? Like that it's something that's gonna be around for 200 years, and now we're the oppressor, right? Like I don't think we want that either. But when you ask about the time that we're in, that's a really good question. Like I'm not sure exactly what and why the moment is shaping up to be this moment and this time. I just feel something deep that this is the time, right? Like it's interesting you mentioned your ancestors. My great one of my great greats was in the Exodus movement. They were on Jefferson Davis's plantation,
Mm.
and after the guy passed away, they left to go to I think it was Kansas. They went to go somewhere, yes. And the both the journey was so treacherous, and then when they got there, the racism experience was so bad that they turned around and left and come back to Mississippi.
Mm.
No, they were in Louisiana, but they came to Mississippi, and they started they did what we talking about, right? Like they started a community there, Mount Bayou, and you know, in those times, and then during segregation, I think I often ask myself what it was that caused us to leave, right? Because we had those thriving communities, we had the Wilmingtons and the Durhams and the Greenwoods, and yeah, they were targets, right? So I think that might have been part of it. And then there was, for those that had the means, there was opportunity outside of those communities to go and live, in more affluent areas, get better education and things like that. But also, I think we have a hindsight they didn't have at that time, and we have access to information that wasn't readily available at that time. So I think a mixture of all those things, and then just seeing the the fall of America right in front of our eyes, um, and having the ability to do something that historically wasn't possible on a global scale. I think all these things combined are presenting us with an opportunity and a responsibility we can't turn away from. And then that knowledge of self peace, knowing that knowing what our true nature and knowing who we really are, is just is something that once you look at all those things combined, you just have to understand and appreciate the gravity of the moment. And so that's what I mean. That's how I see it, and I just think that um, you know, better or worse, those of us that small number of us who see it and realize it, we have a big responsibility. Um, if we so choose, right, to set our people up and to set our future up to be liberated and to live free in this world. And but like we said, not just our youth. I mean, we're doing it for our youth, but this is will have a reverberating effect throughout all of society, and throughout creation. So when you look at it in those terms, it's kind of it's kind of hard to look at it and be like, nah, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do it, or I'm gonna take some money for it. Like that's a pittance compared to the reward we'll get. You know what I'm saying? When I transition and can watch my babies and their babies live free in the world, man, what the hell is any amount of money? $1 billion? It don't mean nothing. I think you're muted right now. I can't hear you, but yeah, like there's no amount of money that's worth that. So hopefully, I think the more that you said it, the more that we put a vision out there, but also do the work, right? Like, especially for our children's standpoint, like that's all they're seeing right now is the Black Lives Matter painted on the street and the statues coming down. So that looks like progress. It looks like impact. It looks like change. And all these multi-billion-dollar corporations saying Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. Like, yeah, that probably feels good because it's logical to want acceptance, right? It would make sense from that standpoint, but we have to, you know, to present the bigger vision and the true goal of what we have as a people, and the contradiction in a billion-dollar company saying Black Lives Matter, but at the same time, you know, investing in private prison, or at the same time, you know what I'm saying, you providing surveillance to the police and all these other things.
Right, right. And those are the things we need to bring out. So
We have to.
caught up in the kumbaya of
Yeah,
they don't get
we
caught up.
have to. Yeah, we have to. We have to. I mean, especially if you're not conscious, right? If you're not conscious and you don't know any better, then sure, singing the Negro national anthem at the NFL sounds like a good thing, right? It's gonna make you feel, you know, accepted and acknowledged. Like, okay, this is cool.
Right.
But you know, we have to expose that. I
Absolutely.
think that's a lot of our role is staying on people like stay. We waking up, don't fall back asleep.
Right.
You know,
Those things are the mainstream media is not really focusing on. So don't mean we fall asleep.
exactly.
That's what
Because they're gonna do everything in their power to lull you back to sleep. Like
comes.
saw them protests, man. Every single city in the country and a lot of cities around the world had protests, had riots, had people like saying we fed up, enough is enough, right? Like that. Boy,
So here come the sports.
here come everything. They about to start throwing everything at the wall. They probably will come out with some new sports.
New stuff, man. Pacifying people, man, and bring these people out, back into the homes with what they're trying to do, man. But
yeah, yeah, and a lot of them gonna look like us.
Huh?
I said a lot of them gonna look like us.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm.
We're gonna fall for it, like we do.
I don't think so.
Brother, man, it's been an engaging conversation. We're gonna have to another time. But quickly, just let the people know where they can find you. Ministry, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so the ministry's Instagram, well, our Cash Mob work is done under PHX Cash Mob on Instagram. The bookstore, is Grassroots with a Z, GROOTZ, Grassroots Bookstore. What else? LOC page, PHX LOC. My page, Big Bro Ali, but don't follow me. And then yeah, that's about it. I mean, I'm on Instagram. That'd probably be the best place to follow. But Big Bro Ali, and then like I said, the Cash My Page, bookstore page, LC page. Yeah, let's just get to work, man. You know, like
really,
it's a we have to be. I'm trying to stress this, folks. Like we got to be organized. Like that's the main thing, is we just got to be organized. Like anything that's trying to come against us, we can stop if we're organized.
Yep.
Right.
We got to like each other and all agree. Neither.
What you say?
We don't all have to agree and be on the same.
No.
We don't all have to agree, man. On
absolutely not. Absolutely not, man. When we could take so many lessons from nature. I'm working on my garden, and I had some compost delivered, and it just turned my whole driveway solid black. Like the whole driveway, because all that dust and stuff went everywhere, it was solid black. But I walked in, I came back out like 5 minutes later, and there was all these lines in the dust. It looked like veins almost. I'm like, man, what's going on? I looked real close, and it was just lines of ants just going back and forth, like in a perfect line, to the point where like I guess their little feet or whatever was picking up the dust. And I'm like, look how consistent, look how organized these little ants are, right? And they probably walking past people like, motherfucker, like you know what I'm saying? Like I can't stand it, but they working. They was working. And I'm like, we gotta be that organized. We're like, even if I don't feel like talking to you today, like we got to consistently put in the work. We just got to consistently put in the work, because if we not, then we know what we're gonna get. We're gonna keep getting more of the same thing, right? And so hopefully we start to see more and more of that. And obviously we're doing more, and I think people are seeing more of the work that we're doing and seeing how important it is to have some organization. So I think we got to, for TWG, I think we got to elevate that too, like understanding that we're unified, that we're in solidarity with our people throughout the globe, but also like we got to be organized, got to be. I'm saying,
All right, family, you got that. Organization, love, uh,
yeah,
are the cornerstones of
yeah,
building our nation. I like to
man,
thank everyone for tuning in to the Waking Giant. I like to have brother. Thank you again, brother Ali, for coming through, dropping your knowledge and giving us some understanding on the ministry. Really appreciate you have coming through, man. Give me some of your time. So once again,
thank you.
go to our YouTube channel. Please like, please comment, please share. And just, you know what, just take heed to this conversation. Just play it back, and really listen to what's being said, because time is of the essence, family. Time is of the essence. You agree,
That's
brother?
right. It's our time right now. It's our time right now, and we just have to be. I know you already closed it out, but I just want to encourage people to make decisions, right? Like this, we have to understand the faculty and the power we have right now to make active decisions, and even actively deciding to do nothing is an active. But given the circumstances, I think most of us would prefer to do something rather than nothing, right? And so we decide, then let's put some action behind our decision. Um, but let's not be afraid to make a decision right now.
All right. Like I said, family, have a great evening. Appreciate you for tuning in. Once again, like, share, comment. Visit us at phx.org, I believe it is. Oh, no, phxloc.org,
Yeah.
on Facebook. All right. Peace, family. Thank you once again. And be ready for the next episode of The Waking Giant. We're going to have some fire for you, family. Have a great evening. All right, brother Ali, you can log off so this thing can clear up for me.
Oh, okay, got you. All right, all right.
I'll holler at you soon.
All right, for sure.